Hello everybody. Today I am talking about the solar eclipse of 2nd of July. This is a powerful eclipse in Gemini, and Saturn Ketu are opposite it. And how does it affect you? What to do about it? How to deal with it? Hello, everybody. Today I'm talking about the solar eclipse of 2nd of July 2019 and its impact and what time it is, where it is, and what are the effect on us personally. So basically, when we are discussing eclipses, we are looking at eclipse position, the day it is, what time it is. I made a video about eclipses separately, which is general for everybody. And then this is a specific eclipse that is taking place on 2nd of July. And it will is in Gemini. It's 16 degrees approximately in Gemini, which is Ardhara Nakshatra. And the energy of the solar eclipse. Solar eclipse means it is a time of new moon. So the moon and sun are together at the Gemini, and it is at present, what is happening is that Saturn Ketu are opposite. So there's all this issue about the opposite of ourselves. So that means self and the other, whether it is personal relationships or partnerships or business partnerships, those things. But each sign will be affected separately, and I'm going to continue making about each sign. But first, you have to understand the general effects of the eclipse. What I find is that around the eclipse day, one day before, around the eclipse time, the energy is very disturbed. And the eclipse is taking place is most of the world, the eclipse is not visible. But the eclipse is taking place at it starts at 16:55 UCT, and it is maximum at 19:22 UCT. Now, UCT is universal time, and it is kind of the world time nowadays. It's similar to GMT, but without the summer time taken into account. So what is the time at the zero meridian? And the eclipse, as I said, is going to be visible in certain countries. And those countries and people living under those countries are hugely affected by the eclipse. And it is Argentina and Chile where the eclipse path runs through. But there are some other countries also, Ecuador, Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay, all where eclipse is going to be visible. So these countries will have effect. Now, what I notice is that there can be some issues before the eclipse and after the eclipse. And because the eclipse is affects the whole country or the whole people, everybody, then it is can affect them sometimes before and after. And you know that recently there was the big electricity outage of all of Argentina. Grid was off, and even I think Uruguay. So that was like a pre-eclipse energy. But the eclipses are considered omens for things to happen. So you can think about weather patterns, political, some change, upheaval, just general energy shift in the countries where it is visible. You could see things like, extreme weather, hot, cold, also earthquakes I notice around the eclipses. But largely the world is not experiencing the eclipse, yet the eclipse is on. And so that means these are more silent eclipses, and they are still stuff shifting and changing. And therefore, there is some transformation of thinking, of energy. And generally around the eclipse days, I always advise that take the days simple and don't try to overload your agenda on that day. Now, USA is 4th of July is USA's birthday, so a 2nd of July eclipse is indicating some issues that are coming to light for USA. It is always difficult to judge. One can make prediction, this will happen, but you will see that there is going to be some upheaval. This is a major eclipse that USA is dealing with. There was a 2017 eclipse where USA was also coping with, which was visible in USA. This is invisible. That means that these are issues that can come up at a later date rather than what is experiencing now. So that is the main thing to be conscious of. And so that there will be some changes, some aspect in USA. And other places also, if your birthday is close to 4th of July, I would say 1st of July to about 8th, 9th of July, this area also change, transformation. Now, transformation may not be negative. It is just transformation. Now, you have to look at the dasha and transits, but expect some change that is taking place, some unexpected event that is taking place. The countries that have birthdays or annual, celebration around that time, around 4th of July. So this is one key factor that you take into note. And also because the eclipse is disturbing the Earth's energy, that means weather patterns, things like that can happen. I mean, you're seeing extreme weather in France just now. So that is not directly connected to the eclipse, but it is somehow aspected to the eclipse. In fact, the lunar eclipse on 16th, 17th of July is very close to the Bastille Day, the French Day. So there's, the eclipse energy is affecting. So you have to see that in your country where you are, but it's silent. So you may not be conscious about that energy. But the rest in an individual chart, you have to see how it is affecting you personally. And generally, as I said, if your birthday is close to that 4th of July, then you are expecting some change. But other than that, what you want to see is that where your sun, moon, and ascendant is placed. Ascendant, of course, most important, moon, and the eclipse is taking place at 16 degrees, 16 degrees 25 of Gemini. So if your moon is exactly Ardhara Nakshatra, Lagna is in Ardhara, then that is where the eclipse is taking place. Now, just one point of, just to let you know that Rahu is in Punarvasu Nakshatra, but the eclipse is for the sun and the moon. So we will take the sun's degrees, not Rahu's degrees. Rahu is about 23 degrees of the Punarvasu, and sun is 16 degrees. So sun, moon will be 16 degrees. So the degrees that I'm saying are 16 degrees. That is where the eclipse is taking place. So in your chart, if you're Gemini or Sagittarius, but Gemini, that is where the eclipse is taking place. If your ascendant, moon, sun is close to 16 degrees, then the effect is very intense. But if it is even anywhere in Gemini, then it means that you are going through a transformation. The word is transformation. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is negative. But it means there are some changes afoot. It can be change of thinking, change of ideas. But because it is unexpected, it's not something you're already thinking, there'll be some changes happening over the period of the next few years. One other very important thing to remember about the solar eclipse is that its result is over a period of time. So the totality of this eclipse is about 4 minutes long. So 4 years the effect is felt. That means that some process you start now that has that long-term effect on it. And again, I'll point you to my page where the video about eclipses, you can listen to that and get more information about the eclipses, the general knowledge about eclipses. So let us look at all the signs and how each of you get affected by the eclipse. So, firstly, all of you on 2nd of July, keep it simple. Don't overburden yourself. Don't do too many things around that time. And the eclipse is 9:55 universal time. So here in California, it will be, I think, 8 hours difference, 7 hours difference here. So it's early in the morning. It's not visible here because visible in the southern half of America. But so early morning, just to start your day simply, not to do much. And then later on, sometimes people will fast on an eclipse day, or generally not to eat too much, not to do too much, just to have a simple day. If you want to do some mantra practice, some prayer, then that is also good. It's never a good day to start new projects on the eclipse day. The reason is this, that you don't know how they will manifest or how that energy will be dispersed. So therefore, you just be simple on that day. Then in the own signs, we see that Aries, for Aries, the eclipse is taking place in the 3rd house. 3rd house is the house of self-effort. And it is also connected to siblings and brothers and sisters. But self-effort can be that what are you planning to do? You may feel very impulsive on that day, suddenly change your direction. It's a house of enterprise. So those areas, and it is always cautious. Remember, eclipse is not encouraging you to do things, or at least the astrology of it is not encouraging you to do things, although the impact on you may be opposite, that I should do something, I should be doing things. So just to not do anything, not to take care. Now, as far as your siblings are concerned, there can be some unexpected energy that can create some difficulty in your relationship with them. And if it is happening, then be conscious that you are taking it slowly, calmly, not reacting unnecessarily, not exaggerating the situation. In fact, if something comes to light, then wait for a few days before even taking a step. And for Aries, because the ascendant ruler is debilitated at this time, and moon ruler, sun ruler, whatever your Aries is, then this is not your most confident period. So to take care with it. So then we come to Taurus, and Taurus, the eclipse is taking place in the 2nd house. Now, 2nd house is the house Dhana Bhava, house of money, house of wealth. So money energy is disrupted. It's a good time to just avoid spending anything. Although this is not this expense house, but also investing things in any crazy scheme, not a good idea, because, Rahu is always trying to lead you off the path, and that is what the eclipses are doing. So all your good intentions can be a bit messed up. 2nd house is also a house of extended family. So to be conscious about anything happening in the extended family, that you are being careful. The third important aspect of 2nd house is the food you eat. So maybe this is a good time to think about your diet. What are the foods you're eating? Are you eating too much of fast food or negative food? And to purify your energy. And it's also the house of speech. So Taurus, be careful what you say on the eclipse day, because you could say something that is more intense and negative, and people will not forget that for a long time. So for Taurus, again, Sun, Moon, Lagna, all three would be important to pay attention to. Then Gemini, of course, you are hosting the eclipse. Here you can see what is the degree of your planets, your degree of your Lagna, and moon or sun, and see how closely it is affecting you and how it is affecting. And for Gemini, it's not easy with relationships because Saturn, Ketu are opposite in the 7th house. So they are affecting as well. But for Gemini specifically, these are very unsettled energies. So always it's a good idea to stay near your home base, do things that you are doing, your security you feel secure with. That would be the best thing to be thinking about. For Cancer, the eclipse is taking place in the 12th house, and 12th house is the house of expenses. So the key area for Cancer to look after is their expenses. And, it's a house of moksha as well, self-realization. And eclipse is not necessarily giving you the correct direction. If you're looking for a spiritual path, then this is not the time to say, I need to know this. It's a good time to do some mantra, meditation, prayers. That is the best thing to do during the eclipse time. It is very important not to spend money. And Cancer also rules feet. So this time, you can have restless feet. You feel, I need to do this, that, this. So it is a time to simplify your life. And especially over the eclipse period, it is a time to simplify your life and take care with what you're giving out, whether it's emotional, whether it is physical, or it's just money, then you are not wasting your finances at this stage. For Leo, the eclipse is taking place in the 11th house of finances, money, earnings. So the eclipse, normally Rahu in the 11th house is quite a good position. It's the eclipse that is unsettling energy. So that means even with regarding your earnings, you shouldn't be over ambitious. Regarding money, you should not be greedy. You should be satisfied with what is there because there is plenty. And the greed can let you into a lot of problems. So that is the thing. Always remember that Rahu Ketu will encourage you to overdo something. And the eclipses are even bigger energy. So the eclipses are encouraging you to even overdo the overdo. So be, giving, not greedy during this time. And that will be the best way to deal with the situation. Now, again, for Virgo, the eclipse is taking place in their 10th house of career. So there can be some unexpected happenings. Very often, you can get a big opportunity around eclipses. And generally, Rahu's transit through the 10th house is considered a good transit. But what is the thing that you have to be, again, careful is that watch the option that you're being given carefully. It may be too good to be true. Then check it out. Don't say yes to it during the eclipse time. And there are definitely some changes afoot as far as work and career are concerned. So that is keeping an eye out for it and being cautious about that. Then we go to Libra, again reminding you that all these informations are about Lagna, Sun, and Moon. So Not lot of times people write to me, is it from Lagna, is it from Sun, from Moon? You can look at these transits from all the 3 points of view. So I'm not saying every time because it gets too much. So I'm just reminding you. So let's go to Libra. And for Libra, the eclipse is taking place in the 9th house. 9th house is connected to the Guru, to the Father. And the Guru is also the Guru within, your own ability to process wisdom and knowledge and take advice. And generally, if the eclipse is taking place there, you're not actually getting good advice. So if people are telling you something or you're seeking advice, it is either that if you get good advice, you're not listening to it, or you have the propensity of going for wrong advice, or there will be people who are consciously giving you the wrong advice. So 9th house being the house of the Guru is important that you double check anything, that you take a second opinion on anything. That is most important factor. And then the thing is this, that your father can be going through some difficult time at this time, or some changes, because it is linked to the house of father. And also to be careful not to aggravate a situation with them, or if there's some obstacle coming there, then wait till after the eclipse is over to discuss it. Because the Rahu can also be hot-headed and, fiery. Although it's not fiery, it has that nature of wanting to be, I'm the greatest. So be humble, stay calm. Then Scorpio has the eclipse in the 8th house. So this is the 8th house, is house of change, transformation, unexpected energy. Also for Scorpio, Lagna Lord Mars is debilitated. So this is an unsettled eclipse. So be extra cautious. Normally, you see, don't unsettle yourself, react to situations that happen. Eclipses can reveal stuff. They can bring changes. It's like an omen for change. And Scorpio being a fixed sign doesn't always like a change. So if you're going through some change, do think about it, process it, take your time. But at the same time, some things you can't stop. But if a situation is happening, be conscious of it and be careful. Also, 8th house, one should always check health as well. Without looking at the overall chart, we can't say. You see, this is just indication. It's potential, not necessarily everything happens, because the potential means that things can be different. There's change, but then look at the dasha, look at other things as well. Then we come to Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius has been going through quite a difficult time because Saturn is there, Ketu is there, and the eclipse is in the house of marriage, relationships, other people, business partners. So as Sagittarius Lagna, this is just a time to be cautious. As Sagittarius Moon, you're in the depth of Sadesati. As Sagittarius Sun, there's an identity crisis taking place. And then the eclipse is in the house of relationships. That means partners, people are not very much supporting of your agenda, your program. And I would say that in a best way to deal with all these situations is to know that this is not an easy time for you, to take time over it and not have high expectations from this time. And if you're being cautious, and if you've been listening to my videos and being cautious and careful, then it's not necessary that everything is negative for you. Capricorn, the eclipse is taking place in the 6th house. 6th house is house of obstacles, opposition. Rahu usually transiting 6th house is quite good. But your Lagna Lord, Saturn is with Ketu, it's in your 12th house. So again, for Capricorn, you're not really sure what you want to do, who's your friend, who's your enemy, what are the difficult energies. So I would say that for Capricorn also, take it easy. This is not a time to be over aggressive, to fight with people. It's a good time to do karma yoga. Karma yoga is selfless service where you're not expecting reward, charity, giving back to society, doing something positive about it would be good. And Aquarius, the eclipse is in the 5th house of creativity, higher mind, children. So that is the area that is getting affected for you. And the children can, be a handful at this stage. And to be conscious that they are also going through the eclipse. The main thing in an eclipse is we have to be conscious that other people are feeling the same unsettled energy. So if you are feeling unsettled, and especially about if there's any issue with the children, then you know that they are also getting affected at this time, and that you are being calm is better for you, and not to overdo things, or also not to have too much expectation. They're doing this, especially young children, but older children also. This is not the time to focus on that area that, you're not doing enough for me, or you should be doing this way or that way, because maybe your thinking or your connection with them is not the easiest energy. And finally, for Pisces, it's about home and property, and, feeling unsettled at home as well, thinking I should change my home. It's the 4th house. So 4th house is also related to mother. So the mother can feel unsettled. Your relationship with mother can be a little bit complex at this stage, but it's more yourself. It's the house of sukha. It's the house of contentment. And eclipses are throwing all sorts of information, and they can be very crazy seeking of contentment, or there's feeling totally discontent. So either way is not good. And secondly, this is not the time to change home. Wait, take time, because the eclipses are telling that maybe you are going to change something. So you may like to change some interior factor if you can't afford to change your house or move home. But change something internally. But as I said, not now, but at a later date. Now, one final thing about the eclipses is that if you have planets in Gemini and in Sagittarius, and depending on how close they are to 16 degrees, then those planets also get affected. And you can study, if Venus is close, it is about marriage and wife in a man's chart. If Jupiter is close, it's children and husband in a woman's chart. If we already talked, if Mars is close, Mars is your action, what you're doing. So that means if you have these planets in your in Gemini, and close to the eclipse, within about 5 degrees of the eclipse. So if you have the planets close to it, so we've looked at Mercury, thinking houses, Mercury rules. Saturn is to do with, your work potential. Then Rahu, Ketu, if they're close to eclipse, if Rahu is close to the eclipse, it's like a Rahu return. That means there's a major shift for you. If Ketu is close to the eclipse, it means Rahu is going over Ketu, and it's sort of a halfway point for you, and some past life issues have to be reconciled, let go. And finally, as far as the eclipses are concerned, keep the day simple. That is the best remedy. Other than that, if you want to do something good for somebody, make a donation that makes life easier for someone else. Whatever your problem you're feeling, giving back to society, you can give some money towards, food or housing or education or medical for other people, some charity. You can do something, mantra, spiritual practice, karma yoga. It is the best thing to do because you're paying back your old karma by doing selfless work, voluntary work, giving back to society. And mostly, I think that don't be afraid, because this eclipse happens or an eclipse happens twice a year. and it is happening all the time. That means these are natural things. And the whole idea of studying Jyotish, studying astrology, is to know these times, so they know that this is a weakness of time that we have to work with and get to know about it. So please do like as well as subscribe, because if you subscribe, then you'll get instant, and press the bell as well, so that you get instant aspects. I'm going to do the July newsletter. I'm going to do the lunar eclipse, how it affects you. So a lot of stuff coming as well your way. Thanks again. Always check out my website, komilla.com. I so appreciate all your interest and continued interest. Thank you.